us new language to describe things. We already felt intuitive. Exit velocity, the violence of contact. Exit velocity is exactly what it sounds like. How fast the ball is moving when it leaves the bat. StatCast, the sensor-based tracking system installed in every Major League ballpark since 2015, measures this using radar and Doppler tracking the moment bat meets ball. The hard hit rule. A hard hit ball is defined by StatCast as any batted ball at 95 miles per hour or above. Impact on results. The higher the exit velocity, the more difficult the ball is to field, and the more likely it becomes a home run or extra base hit. The king of exit velo, Aaron Judge, has the highest average exit velocity in baseball. His hard hit rate regularly sits in the top 1% of the entire major leagues. Physics of Judge at 6'7". His long arms create a leverage advantage, like a longer handle on a lever, that generates more bat speed at the point of contact than smaller framed hitters can replicate. Launch angle, the revolution above the numbers. Launch angle is the vertical angle at which the ball leaves the bat, measured in degrees. The sweet spot, 25 to 35 degrees, is the optimal launch angle zone for home runs, high enough to clear outfield walls, but not so high that it becomes a routine flyout. Changing the game. This revolution began around 2015, when players realized that the old wisdom of hit it on the ground and use your speed was leaving enormous offensive value on the table. The trade-off. Hitting balls in the air at launch angles between 10 and 35 degrees produces more extra base hits and home runs. This is why batting averages league-wide have dropped while home run rates have risen. Spin rate, the invisible weapon. Spin rate, measured in revolutions per minute, RPM, is how fast a pitched baseball is spinning as it travels toward home plate. The rising fastball, a four-seam fastball with a high spin rate, say, 2600 RPM, compared to the average of 2 to 200, appears to rise to hitters, defying gravity, while it doesn't actually rise. The backspin fights gravity so effectively that the ball falls less than the hitter's brain expects, causing them to swing under. Custom pitch design. Teams use this data to custom design pitch arsenals for individual pitchers, based on their natural arm actions. This is how elite organizations take average pitchers and turn them into aces. The All-Star Game Outlook. Mid-season. Classic predictions. The All-Star Game. The Midsummer Classic. This is baseball's grand exhibition where the best from the American League and the National League square off in a pure showcase of talent. It is a 3-day celebration featuring the celebrity softball game, the home run derby on Monday night, and the big game itself on Tuesday. If you've never been to All-Star Week, add it to your bucket list right now. Projected Algosto. The American League starting lineup is looking absolutely loaded this year. Catcher, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners is the front runner after his massive MVP caliber performance last year. Shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. is the overwhelming fan favorite and a lock to start. Second base, Jazz Chisholm Jr. brings the flash and personality that All-Star voters love to reward. Right field, Aaron Judge is as automatic as the sunrise. He's been an All-Star every healthy year of his career. Pitching, the staff will likely feature elite arms like Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet, and Logan Gilbert. Projected NL roster, Ohtani and the Stars. The National League roster starts with the obvious, Shohei Ohtani. The two-way event. If Ohtani pitches and bats in the same All-Star game, it will be the television event of the entire season. Infield power. Expect Mookie Betts at shortstop and Freddie Freeman at first base. Stacked outfield. The NL outfield is a who's who of superstars, including Corbin Carroll, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, and Ronald Acuna Jr. The global stage. The real subplot here is how the NL manager handles Ohtani. If he starts on the mound for the first 2 innings and stays in the lineup to hit, it serves as the greatest advertisement for baseball in modern history. Casual fans who have only heard the myths will finally be glued to their screens to see the unicorn in action. Bullpen strategies, openers, closers, and modern pitching. We touched on pitching trends when discussing velocity and the sweeper. But now let's go deep on how managers in 2026 are actually using their pitchers. Because the bullpen management strategies employed by today's best managers are as sophisticated, as data-driven, and as situationally nuanced as anything happening in any sport. This is three-dimensional chess played with human arms and adrenaline. Why the traditional model broke down? For most of baseball history, the model was simple. Your starter goes 6 or 7 innings. 1 or 2 setup men handle the 7th and 8th. And your closer comes in for the 9th to close the door. But analytics challenge that assumption fundamentally. What if the highest leverage situation in a game is not misallocating resources. Traditional managers were often saving their best arm for the ninth regardless of context, while sometimes losing the game in the seventh, because they used a lower quality reliever in a critical spot. Highest leverage deployment. The analytical solution is to deploy your best relievers in the most critical moments, whether that's the 6th, 7th, or 8th inning. The opener emergence. This realization, combined with the opener strategy popularized by the Tampa Bay Rays, has fundamentally changed how we think about relief pitching. The opener strategy in 2026. The opener is typically a high strikeout, power arm who starts the game and faces the opposing lineup's top hitters for the first time, usually throwing 1 or 2 innings. The third time through penalty, opposing lineups do their most damage when they see a pitcher for the third time. Timing improves and adjustments are made. Neutralizing the top. By using an opener, you get a fresh, hard-throwing reliever against the top of the lineup, neutralizing their best hitters early. Orchestrated symphony. The bulk starter then takes over for the middle innings, followed by high-leverage relievers. By the end, the opposing team's best hitters have faced 4 or 5 different pitchers, with no chance to find a rhythm. Closers in the modern era. Despite the shift toward flexibility, the traditional closer still holds a massive psychological advantage. Edwin Diaz, back with the Dodgers, is the most electrifying ninth-inning presence in the game. The trumpet entrance. When the trumpet fanfare starts and 56,000 people get on their feet, the opposing team's final hitters know exactly what's coming and still cannot hit it. The best of both worlds, the best managers in 2026, like those for the Dodgers, Mariners, and Yankees, operate with total flexibility. They have a preferred closer for saves, but also the analytical awareness to deploy that arm in the 6th inning if the game is on the line. Let's talk about what is happening on the mound in 2026, because the evolution of pitching in Major League Baseball over the last decade has been nothing short of a full-blown revolution. We're talking about an era where 97 miles per hour is no longer considered elite. It is table stakes. We are in a time where pitchers have entirely new pitch classifications that didn't even exist 15 years ago, and where the entire philosophy of how you use pitchers has been turned completely upside down. Buckle up. This is where the nerds and the fans come together, and it is beautiful. The velocity explosion. In 2008, the average four-seam fastball in Major League Baseball was thrown at roughly 90.9 miles per hour. By 2015, it was 91.7. By 2020, it had crossed 93. Today, in 2026, the average four-seam fastball velocity across the entire league sits at approximately 94.2 miles per hour. The floor has risen dramatically. We now have multiple pitchers, who sit at 99 to 102 as their average, not their maximum, their average. Take Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, who has won the AM, Cy Young in back-to-back seasons. He sits 94 to 96 with his four-seamer, but pairs it with a changeup that falls completely off the table and a slider that pours in on left-handed hitters' hands. His stuff is not just about overwhelming velocity, the deception, the command, the sequencing. He is a craftsman, a Michelangelo of the mound. Then you have Paul Skeens. He is the closest thing we've seen to a physically imposing old school flamethrower combined with modern pitch design. 6'6", 235 pounds, throwing downhill from a high three-quarters arm slot. His fastball has natural life and gets on hitters faster than its 98, 99 miles per hour suggests because of his elite extension. His ERA after 55 career starts is under 2 now. That number is almost impossible to process. 2.00 against the best hitters on planet Earth. The sweeper, the pitch that changed everything. Now we need to talk about the sweeper. If you've watched baseball in the last 3 or 4 seasons, and you've noticed a specific pitch that looks like a slider but behaves differently, breaking much more horizontally, sometimes 17 to 20 inches of lateral movement, that is the sweeper, and it has quietly, fundamentally transformed how pitching attacks are constructed. A traditional slider is a tight, late-breaking pitch that dives down and away, but the sweeper is a different beast entirely. It moves more like a frisbee, massive horizontal sweep with minimal vertical drop, which creates a completely different problem for hitters. Instead of chasing a ball that breaks down, hitters are chasing a ball that appears to be perfectly located, but then zips forward, 5-6 inches further outside than their hands can reach. The barrel misses. The swing produces nothing but air. Spin rates and pitch design. The StatCast era means we can now compare spin rates across hundreds of thousands of pitches to identify which spin produces the best results. Teams use this data to custom design pitch arsenals for individual pitchers, based on their natural arm actions. This is why the Los Angeles Dodgers, who pioneered a lot of this work, have been able to take average pitchers and turn them into elite producers. Pitchers show up at Dodger spring training and spend weeks in pitch design labs, throwing into high-speed cameras and analyzing their spin metrics. It is essentially baseball's version of Formula One engineering. The car matters, the driver matters, but so does the team that built the car. And right now, the Dodgers build the best cars in the sport. The American League East is, and has been for decades, the toughest division in baseball. 5 teams, no easy nights, no gimme series, and absolutely no comfort zone from April through September. The AL East will eat your lunch, steal your shoes, and still have the audacity to look good doing it. Let's break down the 3 biggest stories. The Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays. New York Yankees, the status quo empire. The Yankees enter 2026 doing something they almost never do, running it back. Nearly the same roster, nearly the same strategy. The front office believes this core, which suffered a heartbreaking ALCS loss to the Blue Jays last year, needs one more full season together to reach its ceiling. The depth around Judge, while Aaron Judge is the alpha and omega, the depth around him is what makes this lineup terrifying. Jazz Chisholm Jr. At second base, he provides that dynamic speed and power combination the Yankees desperately need. He plays like every game is a street fight, bringing an energy that the Bronx has fully embraced. The batter. Austin Wells is developing into one of the most promising young catchers in the league, showing a bat that is legitimately impressive for his position. The return of the ace. Every Yankee fan has one date circled in red, June. That is when Garrett Cole is expected back from Tommy John surgery. When Cole is right, he is the best starter in the American League. And adding a caliber of arm, like that midseason changes everything about a team's playoff odds. Boston Red Sox, the Garrett Crochet era. The Red Sox enter 2026 after a calculated offseason. They passed on Alex, Bregman, and instead pivoted. Hard to make pitching their absolute priority. They already had Garrett Crochet, who was arguably the best pitcher in the American League last season, not named Tarek Skubal. The Crochet story is one of the best in baseball. A guy who was a one-inning reliever for the White Sox, whom the Red Sox acquired and converted into a legitimate lefty ace with triple-digit velocity. The big question for Boston is simple. Can Crochet take that next step and become a true number 1 when the lights are brightest in October? Because in the regular season, his stuff plays anywhere. But the postseason requires a different level of grit. Toronto Blue Jays, so close, so hungry. 2 outs. That is how close the Toronto Blue Jays came to their first World Series championship since 1993. 2 outs in Game 7. And it slipped away. The hunger in that organization is now ferocious. Aggressive reinforcements. They didn't wallow in the loss. They went out and signed Dylan Cease and added Kazuma Okamoto. Vladdy Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the centerpiece. He has the raw bat speed and barrel control that scouts call generational. After finishing top 3 in MVP voting again last year without winning, he is motivated by a frustration that should terrify opposing pitchers. The new infield. Bo Bichette is gone, traded to the Mets in the shocker of the offseason. In return, Marcus Semien is back, giving the Jays a Gold Glove second baseman and a seasoned veteran leader. When the Jays are chasing a championship, the Rogers Center is a different environment. That city buzzes, and those 48,000 seats are full of people who truly believe this is the year. They bring the trophy back to Canada. The American League West is the most geographically sprawling division in baseball and arguably the most narrative rich heading into 2026. You have a dynasty that refuses to die, a team fueled by revenge energy, and a Mariners franchise that finally ended their decades-long playoff drought and is now legitimately hungry for more. Let's get into it. Houston Astros, the dynasty that keeps spending. The Houston Astros are a fascinating study in organizational resilience. They dominated the American League for 5 straight years of pennant appearances. Then the dynasty seemed to crack. Key pieces aging, competition catching up. And yet here they are in 2026. Still dangerous, still capable of October baseball. The Yordan Alvarez variable, the most critical variable for Houston's entire 2026 season is Yordan Alvarez, after being limited to just 199 plate appearances in 2025 due to injuries. Getting a full season healthy Alvarez back could be the single biggest roster development for any team in the AL West. Massive departures. They lost Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, a $240 million hit, and Alex Bregman, to the Cubs. Those are two key offensive pieces that depart, and the organizational depth will be tested. The resilience factor. Houston's front office has earned every benefit of every doubt, but the question remains whether they have enough left to punch through to October one more time. Texas Rangers, defending pride. The Texas Rangers are coming off a World Series appearance, losing to the Blue Jays in 2025 in that heartbreaking 7-game series, and have made significant moves to get back. The pitching culture. They have the pitching culture established by Jacob DeGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, with Mackenzie Gore developing in a rotation where he can learn from veteran presence every single day. Elite offense. Corey Seager at shortstop is still elite, one of the best offensive shortstops in the game when healthy. The state rivalry. The Rangers-Astros rivalry, Texas versus Houston, is one of the most compelling divisional stories in the sport. When these two teams meet at Globe Life Field or Minute Maid Park, the atmosphere is electric because these fan bases do not like each other. Seattle Mariners, the franchise finally awake. The Seattle Mariners spent 21 years without making the playoffs, but things changed last year when they won the AL West Division title for the first time since that legendary 160-win 2001 team. Superstar ascent. Julio Rodriguez continues his ascent into superstardom, and the rotation, featuring Brian Wood, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and George Kirby, was one of the three best in the entire league. Postseason legend energy. They brought in Randy Arozarena in left field, bringing that postseason legend energy from his Tampa Bay days. The Northwest Fever. The Mariners are not a one-hit wonder. They are built. T-Mobile Park will be absolutely rocking this year as a genuine AL pennant contender. The NL Giants, analyzing the Dodgers' super team status. We need to have an honest conversation about the Los Angeles Dodgers, because what this organization has assembled is genuinely unprecedented in the modern era of baseball, not just because they've spent a lot of money, or because they have the best individual players, though both are true. It is the specific combination of depth at every position, starting pitching quality, bullpen construction, and the singular transcendent talent of Shohei Ohtani. On paper, the 2026 Dodgers are a legitimate argument for the greatest assembled team in baseball history. The roster, a who's who of excellence. Let's go through the lineup card, because it deserves to be recited with appropriate awe. Mookie Betts, leading off at shortstop. Mookie is a Hall of Famer in progress with 8 gold gloves and 0 weak toes. He fields his position like he invented it. Shohei Ohtani, DH on regular days and a starting pitcher every fifth. When Ohtani hits in a lineup with Betts and Freddie Freeman, opposing managers are playing lineup. Sudoku in reverse. There is no way to neutralize all three simultaneously. Freddie Freeman, at first base. He is a 300 hitter who plays with grace and intelligence. He is the emotional heartbeat of that clubhouse. Kyle Tucker, the $240 million man from Houston, provides gold glove defense and elite left-handed power. His presence makes every hitter around him more dangerous. The depth, with Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, and Max Muncy. This lineup has 9 legitimate threats from top to bottom. The rotation, 4 aces. The pitching staff is where this becomes almost unfair. The Dodgers rotation features Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young winner, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, World Series MVP and one of the premier pitchers in the game, Tyler Glasnow, throwing 98 miles per hour with a curveball that makes hitters whimper. Shohei Ohtani, on the days he pitches, he adds a 4th ace to the mix. Most franchises would be thrilled to have any single one of those 4 pitchers. The Dodgers have all of them simultaneously, and with Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning, his trumpet, entrance music still sending chills through me. Park, this team, is built for total dominance. Can anyone beat the Dodgers? The Philadelphia Phillies are the most dangerous challenger. They won the NL East by 13 games last year and have a terrifying lineup, anchored by Bryce Harper and Trea Turner. The Cubs are fascinating sleepers with Brett Young, and the Mets with Juan Soto have the talent to compete. But it all comes back to Los Angeles. The Dodgers have won the World Series 2 consecutive years, and until someone beats them, the burden of proof is on the challenger. The Dodgers are the mountain. Everyone else is still climbing. The Kansas City Royals, Witt and the window. The Kansas City Royals won the World Series in 2015 and then spent years rebuilding. That rebuild, centered around Bobby Witt Jr., has produced one of the most exciting young players in the American League. In 2026, they could be the AL Central's biggest threat to the status quo. The roster construction, Bobby Witt Jr. provides the star power, while 9-time All-Star Salvador Perez provides the veteran anchor and leadership. The support, Vinny Pasquantino is a contact-hitting machine, and Jonathan India is a former NL Rookie of the Year who reinvents his approach every year. The breakout, keep an eye on Jack Caglianone. Scouts were buzzing all spring training about his raw power. The ace, Cole Reagans, is their ace. If he stays healthy, Kansas City has the foundation to win this division. Home playoff games in Kansas City would be electric. The Pittsburgh Pirates, Skeens and the Hook. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been mostly irrelevant for the last 2 decades, but that is changing. They now have arguably the most electrifying young arm in baseball, Paul Skeens. Dominant numbers. Skeens has a sub-2.0 career, ERA after 55 major league starts, and is already a Cy Young winner. The offense, if the Pirates can score enough runs behind Skeens, using O'Neill Cruz's power and Cabral, Hayes' excellence at third, this small market team could contend for a wild card spot. The secret weapon. Then there's the Connor Griffin countdown. At just 19 years old, he hit .333 with 21 home runs and 65 stolen bases in the minors last year. When that kid arrives in Pittsburgh in the middle of a pennant race, that is the kind of moment baseball lives for. Detroit Tigers, Scooball's final year. The Detroit Tigers have Tarek Scooball, the back-to-back AL Cy Young winner, entering his final year of team control. The rotation. They've added Framber Valdez for depth and have young prospect Kevin McGonigal, possibly cracking the opening day roster. The existential weight every start Scooball makes in 2026 has a massive weight attached to it. Rule changes, impact, pitch clock, larger bases, and the new baseball. If you watched baseball in 2022 and somehow missed the last 3 seasons and came back in 2026, first of all, where were you? But second, you would be watching a meaningfully, tangibly different game. Not different in its soul or what makes it beautiful, but different in its pace, its physicality, and its athletic parameters. The rule changes implemented over the last several years, primarily the pitch clock, the shift band, and the larger bases, have produced the fastest, most action-packed version of Major League Baseball we've seen in a generation. And the numbers back this up completely. The pitch clock, baseball's time warp. Before the pitch clock era, an average 9-inning baseball game took 3 hours and 3 minutes to complete. By 2023, the first year with the pitch clock, 15 seconds. Between pitches with nobody on base and 20 seconds with runners, the average game time dropped to 2 hours and 38 minutes. That is a reduction of more than 25 minutes per game. Constant action. As a fan in the stands, you used to spend a huge amount of time watching pitchers fidget, step off or readjust their caps. Now, the ball comes in, the pitch is thrown, and the action happens. The game moves, it breathes, and it flows. Hitter adjustments. Hitters had to adjust too. No more stepping out of the box after every pitch to readjust batting gloves. Hitters now have 8 seconds to get set or risk an automatic strike. Aggressive base running. The pitch clock has also restricted how many times a pitcher can attempt a pickoff, which has exploded stolen base rates across the league. Speed is back as a premium skill, making the game faster and more aggressive simultaneously. Larger bases and the shift band. The larger bases increased from 15 square inches to 18 square inches. Don't get as many headlines, but the effects are fascinating. Safety and distance. The primary motivation was player safety to reduce collisions at first base. However, these larger bases are physically closer together. About 4.5 inches of effective difference. In baseball, 4.5 inches is the difference between safe and out on a close stolen base play. The shift band, requiring 2 infielders on each side of second base, on every pitch has changed everything for left-handed pull hitters. Before 2023, teams were deploying radical alignments that completely neutralized certain hitters. Rewarding skill. The band brought batting averages up and brought back the strategic beauty of using the entire field. Oppo-taco home runs and hitting to all fields are more valued now, and the game is richer for it. Rookie watch. Top prospects making their MLB debut in 2026. Prospects, rookies, the next big things. We are talking about the teenagers and 20-year-olds who have been absolutely destroying minor league pitching and are now ready, or almost ready, to take the big stage and introduce themselves to major league hitters for the very first time. Opening day 2026 comes with a stacked rookie class, and we are going to go name by name to give you the complete preview of who is going to matter this year. Kevin McGonigal, Detroit's prize. Baseball Pipeline's number 2 overall prospect entry. 2026 is Kevin McGonigal. Whether he breaks camp with Detroit's opening day roster or starts in AAA for a few weeks, He will be in the majors at some point in 2026. The bat is the headline. McGonigal is a right-handed hitter who can play multiple infield positions. AAA dominance. Last year, he posted an .834 OPS with 30 doubles, 16 home runs, and 82 RBI in 106 AAA games. Ready for the show. An .834 OPS at his age is an excellent indicator of MLB readiness. The power is real, the hit tool is above average, and his plate approach is advanced beyond his years. Watch this kid. He could be in the AL Rookie of the Year conversation by the second half. Connor Griffin, Pittsburgh's secret weapon. Connor Griffin is 19 years old. 19. And what he did last season in the minors is almost cartoonishly good. The numbers. He hit .333 with 21 runs and 65 stolen. Bases in 122 games. Elite tools. Speed is plus plus. Raw power grades out as elite. And the arm is strong. The call-up moment. The Pirates will likely keep him down for the first half. But by August, imagine the scene. A 19-year-old kid jogs out to left field, steps up with the bases loaded, and launches a 112-mile grand slam in his first major league at-bat. That is what prospect call-ups are made of. Roman Anthony, Red Sox fan. Roman Anthony of the Boston Red. Sox is another name to know. A young outfielder who signed a massive 8-year, $130 million contract extension. That kind of commitment to a player with limited MLB experience is a major statement of belief. Easy power? His left-handed swing has what scouts call easy power. The ball just explodes off, the bat without him looking like he's swinging hard. High stakes. Every at-bat in 2026 will be analyzed against that. $30 million investment. Carter Jensen, the Kansas City Renaissance. Don't sleep on Carter Jensen in Kansas City. The young catcher had a stellar September call-up and is learning at the foot of 9-time. All-star Salvador Perez. This kind of mentorship accelerates development by years. Watch that Kansas City catching room all season. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest live stream in baseball broadcasting. Today we are going full count on the 2026 Major League Baseball season. Opening day is here, and if you are watching this live right now, you already know there is absolutely nothing on the planet like opening day in baseball. Nothing. Not the Super Bowl kickoff. Not the tip-off of the NBA Finals. Nothing. Absolutely nothing captures that pure, uncut, soul of America feeling quite like that first pitch of a brand new baseball season. Every team is tied at 0. Every city is dreaming. Every fan is a believer. And today, we go to work. On opening day 2026, we have 15 games scheduled from coast to coast. 15. That means from the moment that first pitch leaves the pitcher's hand. 30 baseball teams full of dreams, full of talent, full of 6 months of spring training grit and grind, are stepping onto freshly chalked, perfectly manicured, green carpet masterpieces of baseball, diamonds across this country and saying, this is our year. Let me paint you a picture. If you've never been to a ballpark on opening day, put it on your bucket list right now. You walk up to that stadium. Let's say it's Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, or Dodger Stadium up in Chavez Ravine, or Fenway Park in Boston with that iconic green monster looming in left. And you feel it before you see it. The smell hits you first. Hot dogs on the grill, fresh cut grass, the sharp tang of new leather gloves. Then the sound washes over you. 47. 50,000 fans buzzing with that specific electric frequency that only exists between the first crack of the gates opening and the first crack of a bat on a baseball. The groundskeepers have been out there since 4 in the morning. The baselines are chalked with military precision. The infield dirt is raked to perfection. Not a single pebble out of place. The outfield grass is mowed in those magnificent, alternating stripes of deep green and light green that make you feel like you're standing inside a painting. This is baseball's cathedral moment. This is opening day, on March 25th, 2026. The Yankees kick things off in San Francisco in a marquee matchup. Aaron Judge, the reigning AL MVP for the 3rd time in 4 seasons, strides out to right field in pinstripes in front of a sold-out Yankee Stadium crowd watching on screens all over. The Bronx, meanwhile out in Los Angeles, Shohei Ohtani, the greatest baseball player on planet Earth right now, and arguably the most talented two-way player since Babe Ruth himself walked the earth, will be taking the ball and swinging the bat for a Dodger team gunning for a 3rd consecutive World Series championship. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not your grandfather's opening day. This is a loaded season. Every great baseball season has its narrative threads. Those storylines you follow from opening day all the way to October. The ones that make you tune in on a Tuesday night in June, when you really should be sleeping. In 2026, we have more compelling narratives than any season I can remember. Thread number 1. Can Shohei Ohtani win his 5th MVP award? He already owns 4, 2 in the American League, 2 in the National League, and every single one of them was unanimous. The man has not received anything other than a first-place vote in his MVP seasons. That is a level of dominance we have genuinely never seen in this sport. Not DiMaggio, not Mays, not Ruth, not Bonds. Nobody won 4 MVPs with unanimity like Ohtani has done. And now, with a full pitching season expected in 2026, after his return from Tommy John surgery last year, the case might actually be even stronger. Thread number 2. The Toronto Blue Jays were 2 outs away from winning the 2025 World Series. 2 outs. They went into the offseason with a chip on their shoulder the size of the CN Tower, signed Dylan Cease, added Kazuma Okamoto, and kept their entire core intact plus reinforcements. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is still chasing that first MVP. This team is hungry. Thread number 3. The Chicago Cubs have added Alex Bregman to what is already their most complete roster since the 2016 World Series champions. Is this finally the year Chicago takes the NL Central back from Milwaukee? Thread number 4. Paul Skeens. The young Pirates ace went through his first 55 career starts with an ERA. Tofimunu won the Cy Young, led Team USA in the World Baseball Classic, and is now for what could be his first series MVP campaign. A pitcher winning MVP. It hasn't happened since Clayton Kershaw in 2014. Could Skeens be that generation? The answer might be yes. The 162-game marathon. Before we dive into this broadcast, I want to ground us in the sheer scope of what a baseball season is. 162 games. Not 16 like the NFL, not 82 like the NBA. 162 games. Roughly 6 months, from late March all the way through September, with the playoffs extending into late October. A baseball team plays essentially every single day, 6 games a week, with one off day here and there. Lineup decisions, pitching rotations, bullpen management, injuries, slumps, hot streaks. It is an absolutely living, breathing, grinding, glorious monster of a season. And every day there is something happening that matters. The analytics solution has transformed how we watch these 162 games. StatCast technology, pitch tracking, exit velocity, launch angles, spin rates. We have a deeper vocabulary for understanding the field than ever before. When a pitcher throws a sweeper that breaks 14 inches horizontally and drops 8 inches vertically, we can see that in real time. When Judge launches a baseball at 115 miles per hour off the barrel, we can quantify the violence of that contact in ways that are almost poetry. So strap in, grab your scorecard. Yes, some of you still keep score, and I respect that deeply. 162 games, 29 rivals, 6 months of the greatest game on earth. The 2026 MLB season is officially underway. Let's go. Part 2. Top MVP contenders, Ohtani, Judge, and the challengers. We are hitting the ground running with the biggest question in baseball awards coverage, the MVP races, and I want to be honest with you, at least in the National League, this is less of a race and more of a coronation, unless something changes dramatically. Shohei Ohtani, the case for a 5th MVP. Shohei Ohtani is minus 145. At most sportsbooks to win an MVP, that is a minus price for a futures award, which almost never happens. But when you look at the destruction he left behind in 2025, it makes complete sense. The offensive monster, he posted a 1.014 OPS that led the entire National League, hitting a career-high 55 home runs and leading the majors with 146 runs. The pitching phenom, after recovering from his second Tommy John surgery, he returned to the mound and posted a 2.87 ERA over 14 starts. He struck out 62 batters and walked only 9. That is an astronomical ratio. The legend of Game 4 in the NLCS, Ohtani took the ball, pitched 6 scoreless innings, and then stepped out of the dugout to park. A 462-foot moonshot into the bleachers. The same man, the same game. No other athlete in modern team sports history does what Ohtani does daily. Aaron Judge, the American League Emperor. Now let's cross leagues to the man of the Bronx. Aaron Judge. He is a 3-time AL MVP in 4 seasons and the greatest right-handed hitter of his generation. Historical dominance. Judge is top 3 in all 6 major offensive categories over the last 5 years. The comparisons to Barry Bonds aren't just talk. They are backed by the numbers. Physical violence at 6'7" and 282 pounds. Bobby Wood Jr. of the Royals is the name you need circled on your radar. In 2024, he had 88 extra base hits, the second most ever by a shortstop, trailing only A-Rod. Then you have Nick Kurtz, the Oakland Athletics first baseman who hit 36 home runs in just 117 games as a rookie. He once hit 4 home runs in a single game and nearly hit a fifth. These are the guys coming for the throne. Part 3, the pitching revolution, velocity and sweepers. Let's talk about what is happening on the mound in 2026, because we are in the middle of a full-blown revolution. We're talking about an era where 97 miles per hour is no longer elite. It's just the cost of entry. The velocity explosion. In 2008, the average fastball was 90.9 miles. Today, in 2026, that average has exploded to 94.2 million. We now have multiple pitchers whose average sits between 99 and 102. Todd Scuba, the back-to-back AL Cy Young winner, is a Michelangelo of the mound, using deception and command to complement his high 90s heat. Paul Skeens, a 6'6" flamethrower throwing downhill with elite extension. His career ERA after 55 starts is under 2.0. That is almost impossible to process against the best hitters on earth. The sweeper, the frisbee from hell. If you've seen a pitch that looks like a slider, but breaks 20 inches horizontally, that is the sweeper. Unlike a traditional slider that dives down, the sweeper moves laterally like a frisbee. Hitters chase it, like a break until it zips 4 inches further outside. They use high-speed cameras and pitchers grip the spin axis. It's essentially baseball's version of Formula One. Engineering, driver matters, but the team that built the car is why they're winning.
와이드가 우리 그거니까 안 나오죠. 소원 같은 거. 그거는 끝나지 지금 중요하네. 이끼 보지가 어디야, 그런 걸. Mali.